Sweet. All right, we're live. Hey, welcome everyone to Python Thursday. How's everyone doing tonight?
Not bad.
Good.
Good. So, I guess first off, some news and some changes for Python Thursday. I think most of you, if not all of you, are aware that we were doing the Iron Coder thing, and
Jamal, I think you Jamal.
in the middle of talking.
Yep. Oh, you're back now.
Back now? Okay. All right, so let me try that again. So we had Iron Coder going, which is kind of a weekly bite-sized coding challenge type thing, where individual people are working on their projects together. And then we had the group blog Django app that we're working on together here in Python Thursday. So we're going to be kind of merging, I guess, those together so that we'll be doing an Iron Coding like challenge back in here before we split it out and do its own thing. And hopefully the Ruby and JavaScript groups are going to be following along and doing something similar, the same kind of challenges. So it's kind of just merging it all together. We'll still have the group coding project, but I think getting the smaller bite-sized individual projects into this group will help us get back to coding more, is the hope, and giving us all challenges to work on. So,
Yeah.
go ahead, Jay.
So essentially, one of the issues that we kind of saw was people would come in new to Code Newbie saying, "Oh, we're doing this project," and then we would get here and we would talk about the things that we're doing in the project, not necessarily doing the project itself. So as much as it's necessary, like we have to plan. Planning is very, very important. It doesn't appeal to someone that's not familiar with the format. Someone that would come in eager to jump in already feels behind because they're not informed. And so part of that is a couple of things. We've been focusing on doing projects that we don't know or projects that we want to learn on, which is great. However, that's not necessarily the focus that Code Newbie has. We're not by nature an education community. We're a support community. If you need help, we're here to help you. You know, we want to build a community of Pythonistas that are, I guess, that know each other, that are willing to work with each other, that are willing to help out when needed, but not necessarily take on projects. Now, what comes out of that is something really great. You have little, I hate to use the term cliques, but you have little groups such as, I think Jonathan and I, we've started a couple of like smaller projects together, and that's what we want to encourage. We want to encourage little groups within the community that are saying, hey, I have this project that I'm working on, let's work on it together. Let's do these things together. And that's where the bigger idea of, as Python Thursday, we're going to all be working on a little task, but then if you have a project such as the Python Thursday blog, you know, if you want to work on that, it's not going to be the focus of Python Thursday itself, but we still encourage you to get together and work on that. Does that kind of make sense to everyone?
Yeah, I don't think I'd use the word cliques, but probably more like, you know, spontaneous groups or something like that.
Yeah, and that's why I said I hate to use the term clique because it sounds so negative, but just you start to see relationships develop over time, and you start to know who to go to when you have questions about things. Like, for instance, anytime we have a question, the first thought is maybe Kenneth has an answer. Or if it's something that's TDD related, you know, Jamal probably has the answer. Or if it's something Twitter API related, then Jonathan has the answer. And over time, we start to build that understanding of, hey, I can talk to this person, or maybe they want to help me with this project, and we can spur little projects. Instead of saying, okay, let's all get together and for the next 3 months work on this one project.
Yep, definitely. And, you know, that said, we've put some work into the blog. It's still out there. People are still welcome to work on it, talk about it, and if they have issues, bring them in.
And we've been informed to let you know that if you want the help from Code Newbie of getting help and getting aid in that project, or if you want to let people know, hey, we're working on this blog. If you want to help out, we're going to meet at this time and do it. Then Code Newbie is out there to help you and to reach out for you, help extend the arm, I guess. However, it just won't be considered like a Code Newbie project.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. Thanks, Jay.
Yep.
So Iron Coder is going to at least go away for a little while as we incorporate it into Python Thursday, and hopefully also the JavaScript and Ruby groups will be kind of following along the same track with a weekly or bi-weekly coding challenge. And yeah, so that's the big news for this week. Hopefully all y'all are doing good. As far as what I've been doing this week, other than just kind of thinking about how those changes are going to happen and whatnot, I wasn't super. Let's see, Jonathan. I think it's bi-monthly. Yeah, it's every other Friday is when the challenges will come out.
Yeah.
Right. Did I say bi-weekly? Is that like halfway through the week?
I think that's twice a week.
Semi-weekly? I always get confused. But yeah, every other Friday is when the challenges should come out. So yeah, Python. I made another Pelican blog because I've been playing around with something completely non-Python related. Participating in Inktober, which is a drawing challenge. Other than that, not a whole lot of Python-y stuff. But what have you guys been working on?
Today I've started working on a JSON, I guess a Trello interpreter that I'm going to be using for a company that I'm helping to start with my brother. Basically, we're building a contract in Trello, and any documentation that we build, we always build using Trello, and we want to find a way to basically take the Trello cards and order them so that they wind up being presented in this document form, basically just using Markdown. That's been pretty interesting. I've never really played with the JSON module. It's fairly simple. I'm only using one line for it. It's like JSON loads, and then after that, it's pretty much all just dictionary manipulation from there. But I am also happy to say that this week, our Saturday discussion, I would highly encourage you guys to be there. I know the speaker personally. His name is Brian Schrader. He's a fellow member of the San Diego Python community, and he will be showing us Python multiprocessing. So if you wanted to learn anything about, I guess asynchronous, like using the async IO or using multi-threading or multiprocessing, the first time I met this guy was like in January or February, and he was like banging his head over this problem. So to see that he fixed it and to see he has it working is awesome. And I think he's going to be explaining how he used it to build a copy pot protocol API. And I don't know what that means. I know that it has nothing to do with JavaScript, and I think it actually does have something to do with copy pots. So I'm really interested to see what he's going to be presenting.
So did he turn his copy pot into a web service or something?
I'm not sure. I think what he's doing is like creating a controller that allows you to send commands that will like do stuff with smart coffee pots. I don't know. I don't want to ruin it because I honestly have no clue what he has in store, other than like there's going to be a big emphasis on multiprocessing.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yep.
What about other folks?
Well, this week I looked at Django a little bit. Read a little more into the documentation to see what it can do, and it really, when they say batteries included, they are not lying when they say that. But then I didn't do much coding, just really more reading into different Python things. profiling your code and when to optimize and when not to optimize. Since the focus of the project was a blog, which is a web app, and then you get into all these other things about servers, and it can get really detailed. But that's all I did. Just a lot of reading.
That's cool. Do you have any plans for applying your Django reading or anything?
I do. I was unsure of whether I wanted to use Flask or Django to make a blog, even though a lot of things were saying you could just do a static blog, so you could use Pelican.
Right.
But I wanted to get experience working with Django because a lot of places like Pinterest uses Django, I think. Mm-hmm. And I thought they said Instagram did use Django. I don't know if they still do. But yeah, so I'm working on a blog, going through a couple of tutorials, just not getting in over my head like a version 0. Just have the posts show up on the web.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. What about anyone else working on Python recently, or anything else interesting you're working on?
Mine is kind of similar. Just reading a lot about Django. I picked up a book called Lightweight Django and been working through like every web tutorial I can find, just going through and just trying to learn as much as I can about it.
Great. So Lightweight Django, is that, what kind of things does that focus on?
It focuses just the basics. Just trying to get it started and just get a basic web app up and running. Like, it goes through the basics, but it doesn't go through like the detail as like the official tutorial does. Mm-hmm. It just wants you to get the basics down packed so you can get something up and running as quickly as possible.
That sounds really good. And then you can kind of iterate through. Once you have something working, you can make some additions to it.
Right.
Cool. Well, yeah, let us know when you got something up there.
Okay, will do.
Great. All right, what about anyone else? Derek, do you have anything for us?
No. Busy coding at work in other languages. Haven't had a lot of time for Python.
Understandable. I think it's that time of year. Everyone's been busy.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Let's see. So, Magnus, you're new to our group. I think we've all been pretty new to Python. What kind of experience do you have with Python coming in?
I play with it on and off.
Cool.
More so lately, last about a year or so. So I actually picked up Python originally back, I want to say 97, give or take. And then I fell off the radar, and it's becoming back on the radar the last few years.
Right on. Well, we're glad to have you. Hope you
One
find.
of the things that I really like about Python is the IPython and the notebook.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it very, very easy to incrementally experiment with various aspects and get a bit of a paper trail of what you're doing as well.
Nice. Yeah, I know. I think Jay and Jonathan were playing with IPython Notebook. I haven't used it yet, but I've heard it's pretty cool.
It is nice. The project has evolved into a multi-language thing, so it's renamed itself to Jupyter. So the notebook server can run various different kernels. So you can run it in. I have about 10 or so different languages. So
wow.
One thing that's really nice is you can run Bash. You can. It's good if you're trying to document if you're the sequence of commands that you're running, and that way you see the commands that you're running as well as the output, and that gets saved to the notebook, and you can also replay the notebook, run the command all over again.
Yeah, I think that's that's pretty cool. Dylan, you said you used iPython for your last job?
Yeah. Basically, we had a platform that it was basically a database, and we sold access to it to clients. And when we either got some type of data type in, we could use IPython to upload it, or make manual edits to the database. So yeah, it was. I wasn't like an expert or anything. Hadn't gotten too deep into Python by then, but that was actually like the first time I was forced to use Python. It was like, okay, you need to update this, and I was like, okay, what is the Python? And yeah.
Nice.
Got it.
Let's see. ND convert is how you export notebooks. That's actually something that I have been looking to find out, because I did download IPython, and then I was like, how do I save this? How do I do something with it like after the fact?
Yeah, you can export it to a couple different formats, I believe, even text and other things. I was interested to hear that you could use it with other languages, though. I wondered, like, is it JavaScript, Ruby, everything, or just Bash type scripting things?
Anything that anyone has created a kernel for. I want to say there's 40 or so different languages.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah.
Cool. And let's see. Shane, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. I actually I started on the blog thing. I followed that feature workflow for Git, so I pulled my own branch and started messing around with the HTML, just trying to kind of consolidate it. But I got a little confused when it was time for me to add the model into it. So I need to take a step back and go through the Django material in order to figure out what are we going to do with this like big snake folder versus the blog folder. And I think it can exist in both, but I just haven't figured that out yet. But that's all I've been doing. Not really a lot of Python, more just Django and using Git.
Right on. Did you have any like, as far as the feature branch workflow in Git went, did you run into any issues, or did that go smoothly for you?
No, I just went step by step with the one that's recommended on the help doc.
Sweet.
And I was able to get to where I was able to push my work back up, like I guess cloned it to my laptop, and then I was able to push it back up. So that was most helpful, actually.
Okay. Great. And I think that issue that we ran into with the different apps within Django, where we created the big snake and the blog, I think that's kind of the issue that everyone's been running into when they start working on it, because there is that separation there, and
yeah, I think once we get over that, it should be pretty easy after that.
Yeah, I would agree.
But that's it for me. Nothing else.
All right. Well, awesome. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Dylan, we talked to you about IPython notebooks. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about for what you've been up to?
Sure. Last weekend I went to a conference, my first kind of tech conference, so that was pretty cool. It's called Git Universal, or GitHub Universal, I should say. I think that's like the URL, githubuniversal.com. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Got to hear about a lot of inspiring projects. Got to hear about the future of social coding and all that, and it was really awesome. There's a lot of good energy there. Met met a fellow Code Newbie down there.
Really?
If anyone knows Angel Jose,
I was about to
hashtag-
ask you that because I know Angel. He lives up in. Are you in the LA area?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm Northern California usually.
Okay.
Right now I'm actually in Oregon.
Because I know he's from the LA area, and he was talking about how he was going to get GitHub Universe.
Yeah. So we met up there. I think we're on the Twitter space hashtag Code Newbie. Picture of us with our badges. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was pretty awesome. Lots of free T-shirts. Some DigitalOcean coupons for free. It was just great stuff all around. Besides that, though, some kind of crazy happened the day before yesterday. Or that was yesterday. I did a little bit of pair programming with this guy at a Ruby shop, and he told me that he's like, "Hey, you should apply for this apprenticeship. You just need to make a Ruby on Rails app in 2 weeks." And I don't know any Ruby or Rails. So I mulled that one over for a little bit and decided I did want to be a coding whore. So I'm actually just diving into that space now. So we'll see how it goes.
You had me at internship. You lost me at Ruby.
Apprenticeship, and I would expect that. So
I'm sorry.
no worries.
I was like, oh, tell me more. Wait, Ruby. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's great though. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Hope it works out.
It's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's actually got some pretty fun aspects to it. I know you have a little bit of background, Jamal, right?
Yeah, I've used Ruby. I like it. As much as there are similarities. There's as much as there are some differences. There are a lot of similarities between Python and Ruby.
Yeah, there definitely are. There's a lot of surprises.
There's those too.
But it's interesting. There are shiny things in there.
Yep.
I would definitely say there are a lot of great resources in our Ruby channel, like the Ruby Monday channel. I can't remember if Corey is a Ruby guy or not. I want to say that he is. But Corey Underwood, and then Fadish as well is really awesome, as well as Saran and Angel. They're right on top of it. You have a lot of good people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. It's just gonna be a matter of time and learn a couple language frameworks and the whole I've never really actually built a web app to completion before thing. But there's nothing to do but try. So that's what I'm gonna be doing.
Yeah,
that's me.
Great. Yeah, congratulations again. All right, so I guess we can. Oh yeah, Ruby cones. That's a good lead-in to.
I started them today, and I really like the format. Even more than like videos. It's nice.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the way the cones work, and that they're kind of a little self-contained challenge, I guess, or a project. But it has that kind of test aspect into it, so you know when you've completed it.
Yeah, it's definitely very cool. I may have gotten stuck on my first one, but Jamal, are you free for Ruby questions? If I DM you after this.
Yeah, sure. I haven't actively done Ruby in a while, but I'd be happy to see what I can do to answer.
Okay, no pressure.
Sure.
Thanks.
Right on. All right, so let's talk about a challenge that we can work on. I know that some of you were involved with Iron Coder, and if you were doing your Iron Coder in Python, or I guess even if you weren't, we can talk about those challenges here if you have something that we didn't review over in Iron Coder. And if you haven't, and this is totally new to you, that's cool too, because the whole idea behind it, well, I think we're changing the name from Iron Coder. It's just going to be a coding challenge, so forgive me if I get my terminology mixed up here. But I think that the one that just got published this past weekend still has the old Iron Coder terminology. But the basic idea of this next challenge is, if I can find the link here, I'm trying to talk and type at the same time. The idea behind it is to create a tag cloud. I'll get the link and post it up here. So you're starting out with a file, and each line... Oh, hey, have a good one, Jay. Each line of the file starts out with a... it's a URL. It's basically just the name of a page, and then a series of words that are the tags associated with that page. And the challenge would be to create a tag cloud based off of that, reading in those different lines, and then creating the various clouds. And there's some stretch goals associated with it. So if you want to do some things like actually create the pages or create the links, or make the more frequent words or tags show up larger or smaller, or do stuff like that, there's that stuff written into there too. So that is going to be the first challenge we're going to work on individually, and then hopefully well, I guess I should have another one go on here pretty soon, like a week or two, to talk about in the new format. So before we move on, let me ask, anyone have any questions about that, what that particular challenge is, how we might go about it, or just about the format in general? I'd be happy to answer anything. All right, I will take that as everyone is cool with it. So we do have the Python blog that we were working on as a group. I don't want to abandon that completely. I'd like to make sure that if folks are interested in that, we're able to move forward with it and give people the support on that they need. Let me check. I don't know if there were any updates or pushes to it. I know, Shane, you'd been working on it. Did we have any pull requests? No. Thursday blog. There are no pull requests out there right now. So I assume there's no new activity on there other than what Shane talked about. Did anyone work on that at all in the past week? No. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, that is all of the structured content that we have. I would like to do maybe a live coding exercise, a group coding exercise. I think those are fun. We've had fun with those in the past. But before we do, if anyone has anything, questions, comments, or anything they want to talk about, I would be happy to open it up.
With the blog,
yep.
there was a version 0 milestone, right? And like a version 1 milestone.
Yep.
It's got to be awfully close to the version 0 milestone, I would think, right?
Yeah, let me take a look. What was on the version 0 milestone? Looks like it didn't get set up in there, but I think it should have it in that docs folder. Where's the docs folder?
If you go to issues,
yeah,
on GitHub, then there's a milestones.
Did those get set up? Oh, they did get set up. My
yep.
bad.
We're halfway there, Jonathan.
Okay.
Okay.
So posts can be displayed to user, posts are persistent, and authors can write a post. Are the three open items.
Okay.
I think we're at least partway done with some of those.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think the big thing left was being able to write the post, right? have writing the post and have it display.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah.
All right, not bad.
Let's see. Yeah. 2 of those have people assigned to them. One of them. Well, one of them says it was assigned to Jay, but I think he had to let that one go and throw it back into the pool.
Yeah. I remember him saying that he didn't have the time to actually work on this and devote to it.
Yeah, he pushed his tree out, his branch out there for people to work on. Looks like Tammy's got one of them, and then there's one that's unassigned still. But I think the one that's unassigned, blog posts are persistent. I think that one is going to be automatically happening.
Once the models are in there so that we can actually create a post and display a post, Django just automatically makes them persistent and puts
Right.
stuff in the database.
Exactly. Okay, so I guess, Jonathan, to answer your question, is we are in fact most of the way there, but we're just looking to wrap up. It looks like 2 issues then: the being able to write a post and making sure that the display of the post is working correctly, which I think is mostly done.
All right, not bad. Very cool.
Sweet. All right. So, anything else?
No.
Right on. Well, I will go ahead and share my screen, and I dug around in Interview Cake again. Last week we did one of them from Interview Cake. I forget which one it was. It was the Cake Thief. There's another one here that I think is kind of a classic coding problem. This one was listed on Interview Cake as one of the Facebook interview questions, but I think it's probably been used for more than that. It is to write a function, a Fibonacci function, that takes an integer as a parameter and returns the integer n, and it returns the nth Fibonacci number. So I think that should be a pretty straightforward challenge to work on. Fibonacci sequence you're probably already familiar with, but it takes it creates a series. Each number is the sum of the 2 previous numbers in the series. So, like, it would go 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3,
3, 5, 8, 13.
Yep. Exactly. So let me start this up. Okay, so we'll clear that. Python. All right, that'll work. So we'll call this fib.py. Oh, a little rusty here. I haven't done this since last week. Right, so we want to create a function fib that takes and it returns the nth element of the Fibonacci sequence. Go ahead. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go out here real quick so we can play around in the Python. Py3, I want Python 3. I spelled it wrong. Work on Py3. So like we said, the idea behind the Fibonacci sequence is the type and it keeps going from there. But okay. So if we were to create a function that returns the nth element of this series, obviously it can get bigger than 13. Any ideas, any thoughts on how we would go about coding that?
So the most straightforward one is to do is just a straight up recursion.
Okay, so what would that look like?
You have a special case for the first two, and then any other number you return the Fibonacci n-1 plus n-2.
If n is less than what, 1 or less than 2?
I would just go ahead and hard code it as if n equals 0, if n equals 1.
Yeah, that's a good start.
Okay, sounds good. So that would be...
There's a little bit of dispute, I guess, if what the first number is, if it's 0, 1. It depends on who you're asking, I guess, but for purpose of this, it probably makes the most amount of sense to
start at 0 or 1?
Yeah, I would say return 0 and 1.
Do that for now. So then, let's say, have a function to test this thing. Call it test.
One way to test this is to get a range of numbers and call map on the Fibonacci function.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, so do we want to just print this out to screen, or do we want to do like an assert unit test style test? Any preferences?
I think we're good to just print it out to the screen.
Sounds good. Okay, so test fib. Okay, so values for yeah, values works. So maybe 0, 1. We could just do range, right? 0 to 10. And then you said map. So
Do we want to do map, or do we just want to do a list comprehension?
do list comprehension.
Yeah, that's fine.
So fib x in x. What's the syntax
I
for
think it's
again?
4x in x.
Right, 4.
Well, fib x 4x in x.
Wow. There we go. 4x in x.
For x in values.
Yeah.
You're in Python 3.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I've used Python 3 more than I've used 2, and yet I still do that.
If you do the import print function from future, you get a. It will force you to do the same in 2.
Yeah, I should do that.
When did they add import feature? Was that 2.6, 2.5?
The future is a pretty old thing, but that particular one I think is either 2.6 or 2.7.
All right, so we got our first two values working correctly. Obviously, this one is not correct.
So guys, my question is that too. Sorry to interrupt, but I guess I'm going left field when you talked about Python. So when would you know when to upgrade from like 2 to 3.5?
That's a good question. I think a lot of it depends on what libraries or what modules you're using, and if you have any dependencies that keep you back at Python 2. At least that's my understanding of it.
There's a library called 3.2, which will let you write Python 3 code in a way that actually works in Python 2 as well, for the most part.
Okay. What about those who are Mac users? I mean, how does that go? Because I usually go to a meetup group on a weekly basis, and I notice, like, Mac users, they don't have to worry about, I guess, I'm not familiar with Macs too much, but it looks like they don't have to do too much downloading like Windows users. So I'm wondering how that works with Mac users versus Windows.
So Mac comes with Python built in. I want to say it's 2.7.
Okay.
If you want something else, there's either Homebrew or Macports.
So if they wanted to upgrade, they would have to use that?
Yeah, and there's also a standalone, like a downloaded package, but I won't be able to speak to that myself since I haven't done that.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't use a Mac either, but
Yeah, me neither. A Windows.
GA might be able to answer it. I think he uses a Mac. He had to leave, but you might be able to ask him next week.
Okay.
And because he uses Python 3 on the Mac.
Yeah, I did install Python 3 with using Macports.
Okay.
I think they both can live on your system. You just pick which one you need to use at that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
They work by having a suffix. So you have Python instead of just Python, it's Python 2.7, Python 3.5, etc. Plus, you can also use virtual envs.
I love the virtual environments. I would probably go crazy without them.
Yeah. I feel they're kind of like RVM, just done better.
Yeah.
What is a good virtual environment, if you don't mind me asking?
The virtual environment basically gives you kind of a sandbox that you can install. You get your parallel Python installation, where you can install stuff as you wish, and they get installed in that particular sandbox rather than globally.
Mm-hmm.
So one nice thing about that is if you're on a system where you don't have permission to write, for instance, to a default installation, you can use virtualenv to get your own virtual environment.
Okay, because I've seen things like, I think, Vagrant or something, I think.
Vagrant,
and I guess
Vagrant is a way to set up virtual machines.
Okay.
I think the end goal can be the same, but Vagrant is a more heavy-duty way of doing it.
Oh, okay.
Whereas like virtual environments, here I can show you real quick how they work.
Yeah.
I can see why you asked that question though. Yeah, virtualenv is a Python library, whereas virtual machines is more
It's lower level.
Yeah.
It's doing more emulation.
It's virtualizing another operating system, or well, the same if you want that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I was just looking for a virtual machine. I guess, yeah, virtual machine or something. That's why I was wondering.
Okay. So you were more interested in like Vagrant or Docker or something like that to make containers for your code rather than just for Python?
Correct.
What I've been trying to do when I started working with Ruby just like a day ago is I didn't even want to mess with environment setup. So I use something called Cloudnine.
Okay.
And it's like Vagrant, but online. So you go on there, and then they just start up a virtual machine for you. But it's just like one click of a button, and you just say what language you want to work in. I haven't tried Python 3 versus Python 2 on there. They might just give you a default, but like you can create, I think, 2 workspaces, and that's pretty convenient. You can even upload local files, so yeah, it's nice. I didn't even get into the virtual environment stuff, but I just kind of went around with that. But I should start using.
Okay, I'll try Cloud9.
Yeah, I think one time that virtual environments come in handy is when you're doing like a web application development and you want to try to make sure that your environment on your dev machine is the same as your production server or your one of the other machines you want to have installed, or if you're working as a team and you want to make sure that everyone on the team has the same environment set up.
Definitely, and it's also like you have to work in the browser, not on your local computer, so there's going to be some lag.
Yep.
But it can be kind of tricky, like trying to figure out like having 3 and 2 on at the same time. I kind of went through some like pain trying to figure out how to get stuff separated and working right. So if you need to do it, or if you want to collaborate with someone, do it. But if not, I would just try and sidestep it.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna try out that.
Okay. Cool. Alright, so let's see. And I think we're actually pretty close to a solution on this one, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. So we're looking to add together, I think, Magnus, you said n-2 plus n-1.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because that's taking the 2 previous numbers in the sequence and adding them together.
You actually need to call fibx and fiby.
Okay.
Well, the
Be like fib n-2?
Yeah.
yeah,
I think so.
x equals fib.
X minus 2.
Exactly.
Or not x minus 2, but n minus 2.
Sorry.
No, that was my bad. All right, so let's so we calculate the current Fibonacci number by calculating the previous sequence. Well, let's give it a try. Five 21. That works. If we take that bigger and go up to say 50.
That was too easy.
That was too easy.
Well, this is where it starts getting to be a problem.
Yeah, this is where you want to start caching the values.
Right.
Yeah, because that's taken a while.
Yeah.
All right, so let's kill that.
Because it's calculating some values that it's already calculated a bunch of times before.
Right.
I'm not sure. Is there good memwise?
Yeah, there is. Import func tools.
Okay.
And then the @ func tools .lu_cache.
Here as a. Okay.
So it's a function decorator.
Okay. Oh, underscore cache?
LRU underscore cache.
Okay. Functools.lru.cache or underscore cache.
Yep,
Like that?
I believe so.
And that is going to make it cache the values of Fibonacci that is previously calculated?
Correct.
Wow. Cool. Let's see.
I guess you need to give it some.
Looks like you need to add
Max
parens after the
max
LRU
size.
cache.
Yeah. Give it 100 or something.
I'll try 100.
There you go. That's a lot faster.
Wow. Okay, so that decorator basically intercepts any function called to fib, sees if it's already gotten that parameter and what the output was, and then just shortcuts it, right? Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, it from what I'm seeing, it takes the last 100 calls that you've made and saves those.
Okay.
Because you gave it 100.
Right. That's pretty nifty that you can just decorate a function like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to know what?
What?
I'll bet it takes like 5 lines of code in the library to write that function.
Probably.
I
Should
think
be enough to find out. You have the file there.
Oh, yeah, huh.
Line 413.
Yeah.
Just
I think there was an example of a Fibonacci generator on the Python documentation.
It's the classic example for caching because it does do things in such a roundabout.
yeah.
This simple definition of the function is so slow to compute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get into a combinatorial explosion.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so here's the decorator. Looks
It's
like
low
there's
5 lines, but still, it's not too bad. I guess it needs to do some, something to deal with concurrency.
yeah, that'd be my guess because it's using a closure to do something. Or maybe that's just how you write a. I don't know. It's handling different situations there.
Yeah.
But I think you're right that the basic idea of writing that rapid is pretty simple. Looks like there's some complexity that I don't necessarily understand going on, but
Yeah. So it's basically an easy way to do AOP.
what is AOP?
Aspect-oriented programming.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and that's the idea of taking cross-cutting
Exactly.
type of, I guess,
Cross-cutting concerns.
cross-cutting concerns and doing that. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Well, I learned something. I'd never used that decorator before. So that is rather nifty, and it definitely sped things up because it wasn't calculating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So, Derek, last week you had implemented something kind of similar. It wasn't that decorator, but it was making your algorithm not recalculate the same calculations that it had previously done over and over again when you were recursively calling a function. Could you have used something like this in that scenario as well?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Well, hold on.
Maybe
Trying to
not.
remember. That was where we were doing the.
We were trying to find the prime number, the largest prime.
Right.
Um,
No, that wouldn't have worked because we were always changing the arguments.
Okay. There were basically too many possibilities for it to have worked.
Yeah, the algorithm that I used cut out a lot of the things that we had to check. So
Right.
it wasn't that it was being done repeatedly, it's that I just said, I don't care about the answer to this. It doesn't matter. I already know it's not going to work.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I think this is good for me to see because, I've been coding for a while, but I never really got the formal education in algorithms. And for a lot of UI code or simple web-based stuff or, building simple applications, you don't generally need the algorithms. But in scenarios like this, especially like if you're working on something that is computationally expensive, there's a definite benefit to knowing your way around algorithms. I should probably focus on those a bit more. That's good to see.
Yeah, the reading that I told you I was doing earlier was talking a lot about this. And like when you're going to optimize, look at the algorithms that you're using, because sometimes, especially in Python, sometimes if you profile the code and everything looks normal and fast, then it might be a Python problem, and you might have to write it in a different language, like write a C extension for your algorithm. We didn't have to do that in this case, but
Right. Yeah, I think that's an interesting option. Again, that's something I haven't really explored, but I know that's out there, that you can write your custom extensions for something in C. Like I think the XML, one of the XML libraries, or maybe it's Beautiful Soup. One of those uses native extensions.
There's also something called Dulwich, I guess, which is a pure Python Git implementation.
Oh, interesting.
So you can run. It has a some C parts that are optional to speed it up.
Uh-huh.
But they're optional. So I was able to. This was when I started playing with Python East on my iPhone. I figured, I wonder if there's a way to clone a Git repo using this, and I was able to do that.
That's cool. When I was using Ruby, I had built a tool using Git. There was a Git. I don't think it was a full implementation, but it was a library for interacting with Git. So I was able to make a very rudimentary web service, kind of like a dynamic version of what you'd see with like Jekyll. So if it got a request, it would say, do I have this? Oh, I don't have this. Let's check this Git repo to see if it exists in there. If it exists in there, grab it out and cache it locally in the file system. That was a lot of fun to work with, and it would be interesting to see what you could do with a Python implementation of Git.
So I actually used that. That's something that came to mind now. Something I used pretty recently. I used that along with Network X to generate a visual representation of the Git history to visualize. Specifically, I was trying to make some visuals to do to explain how bisect works.
Okay.
That ended up really nicely.
Oh, that's cool.
I can share a link to that too.
Yeah, it'd be great to see. Hey, Tammy, you joined a little late, but wanted to give you a chance to talk about what you've been up to. If you had anything you wanted to talk about.
Not really. I'm kind of behind again. I'm sorry.
Hey, no
Crazy
problem.
week. But hopefully I can be able to get it together. But the last portion I mentioned, I think, was to work on the work on the testing that Jay had gave me to do. To work on as I volunteered, and to also understand Bootstrap a little bit more, since it was what was his name? I'm sorry. It was the guy who did the Bootstrap, the site.
Oh, that was Andre.
Andre.
Yep.
So I finally got it to work because I kept on saying it wasn't working, but I finally got it to work and I saw what he did. But my next portion is to understand Bootstrap. That's one of the things I'm lacking in, and to work on the unit test.
Okay, cool.
And see how the posting goes. And that's it for me. I don't know if there's anything else that needs to be done.
I did. We are doing a little change to the way that the project is working. I can go over that, recap that in a second. I just opened up the link that that Magnus posted into the chat for the Git repo. That looks really cool. So that's looking at your different branches as you post them in?
Yeah, so it's a real-world example of a bug in Backbone.
Okay.
Where you can use bisect to narrow down easily. So I use that as the example for one because it's JavaScript, so you don't need to compile and what have you.
That's neat.
As well as that particular change. It's one line, as it boils down to, causes the bug.
Uh-huh.
And it's 300 commits, give or take, that you need to go through. You can do that all in 9 steps.
I'm sorry, Magnus. I'm looking at it, but it's kind of confusing me. I'm sorry.
You want to have it single paged and kind of zoom. I'm not sure. Look at it at a page and zoom in, I guess.
Okay, because I'm seeing pages 5 of 10 or something.
Yeah, look at them.
Oh, I got you. Okay, if I zoom out, I see it. Okay, now I
more. So the pages kind of show the progression of bisecting. For each step, you mark one commit either green or red, depending on if it's good or bad, or buggy or not. And you can see how the process works by eliminating more and more candidates until you find the one that's actually bad.
Wow. What did you use to do the visualization?
So it's a software called OmniGraffle. It's proprietary, but there you can. So I exported the file as a GraphViz file.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did in OmniGraffle was to add a bit of coloring, etc. You can export the graph using just GraphViz as well. I'm not sure how well it would look. I never tried that, but you can certainly do that. You can do very nice output with GraphViz as well. So what I used Notebook X with was I created I converted the Git history into my in-memory graph of the commits that I was interested in, and added the nodes and edges, and exported that as a GraphViz file.
Hey, that's cool. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I can share the code in question too.
Right on.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Sorry, Tammy. I did mention that we're changing the format up a little bit. So we have that group project, and folks that want to work on that, we are still supporting and working on that. But we're moving towards a more individual coding challenge format, where every 2 weeks there's going to be a new coding challenge, like the Iron Coder project that we had been separated out from the Python Thursday group, and now that's being incorporated back in to Python Thursday. So there'll be an individual challenge every couple weeks to get people working. We can meet up, talk about the challenge, what issues we might be having, how different people approach the problem, and how they solved it. And I think the idea behind it is to get more people involved, more people coding, and maybe making it a little more approachable for people who are coming in new, so that there isn't a whole lot of background and history to get kind of wrapped up and become involved in the project. So definitely good work on the Python Thursday blog, and the folks that are interested in seeing that through, definitely we're here, and we love to support that. But the main focus of the Python Thursday group, and hopefully the Ruby and the JavaScript groups, is going to be going towards a more weekly or bi-weekly format. Does that make sense?
Okay, so let me get this straight. Well, I guess I got to clarify. So basically, in the next 2 weeks, we just do something that we have experienced a challenge on, besides what we've been working on, our Python blog?
Yes, and there is going to be a challenge that is presented. There's going to be a new one either next week or the week after. I'm not 100% on that yet. It's probably going to be next week. I did have one that you can work on if you'd like to in the meantime.
Okay.
And let's see, where did it go? I put the link up here a little while ago.
Okay.
But I'm not finding it, so I'll just grab it again.
Is that what you just did today? Is that what you just did today? When I came in, I saw like the Fibonacci, looked like Fibonacci that you were working on.
That is one, but that wasn't the main project, or the main challenge. We were just working on something to get working on something together.
Gotcha.
But this other project is it's a tag cloud generator to work on. So I think we've all seen tag clouds, but on various sites you get the list of the different links, and you can click on them and then get your site organized based on those tags using the cloud, and it's a neat way of visualizing what tags are there. So the idea would be to generate a tag cloud based on some data.
Okay, and I guess my question is, someone who's almost like a year into doing, would this be okay to post on your GitHub account, or to like, how, because I'm doing this individually.
Yes.
On my own. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you're free to do it on your GitHub account. If you don't want to worry about, feature branch or any of that fancy stuff, you can just do it as a straight GitHub project on your own GitHub account, and that's fine.
Okay, sounds fair enough to me.
Awesome. Cool. Well, we kind of tore through that Fibonacci example, and good work on that. But we still have some time left. Do we want to try working on something else, or are we good to call it a night and then work on whatever it is we want to? maybe get started on the project or something else. I know we're all busy.
Well, I was going to call it a night, and I was going to continue figuring out how to do the testing so I can finish my portion and be done with it.
Sure.
I wasn't sure if there was anything else with the blog portion after that.
We did look at the open issues, and I think that we're getting pretty close to rounding out that first version. Mm-hmm. You had the issue to display a post, I think, was the one that you were on, or were you the writing a post one?
I think I was writing a post. I didn't do display.
Okay. So I think those are the two issues that are left for that first version.
Yeah, and I might need eventually, like, I'm new to testing, but I want to do it myself. I'm figuring out, like, using Selenium or unit testing. So I'll probably, if I don't get it next week, I'll see where I went wrong by asking for help.
Okay, great. Sounds good. All right, so yeah, I guess we can call it a night, unless anyone has anything they wanted to talk about or work on. Cool. Well then, thank you all for joining. It's good to see you all again, and I hope that you all enjoy getting involved and working in the new format. And hey, have a good night.
All right, you too.
You too.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.